Okay, this is the second step with the oil pastel project. So the first thing you need to do is make sure you finished your drawing on the dark gray paper. Take your oil pastel technique sheet and start to decide which techniques you want to use and which areas do you want to use them. So on mine here, I started thinking about the places where the trees were, and I wanted to use that scumbling controlled scribble effect because I wanted it sort of to have texture but not be too in focus. And then I'm still working on the sky here. I decided to do the heavy pressure. So the first thing was I decided the technique. And then the second thing you want to do is you want to test some colors. So get that little scrap of gray paper and start testing out which colors you want to use where. So like when I was thinking about the sky space, I knew I wanted it kind of dark, but I wanted to use like different colors together, obviously, because the pastels are supposed to be blended. So you're gonna hear me say that 1,000 times, I told you. Blend your colors. Don't just use one color. Mix the colors together. It looks so much better when you do that. So I started thinking about the colors that I wanted to use and start applying those. So obviously, as I was going around the edges here, it's like a little tricky to fit the pastels into some of the smaller spaces. So you can actually utilize colored pencils in some spots too. So if you have something smaller, like for instance, this thumbtack that I need to color in, I'm not going to use oil pastels for that. I'm going to use colored pencils for that. So feel free to use colored pencils along with the pastels to get to be able to fill in some of the spaces where it might be a little bit harder to fit the pastel and do a neat job. Okay. So you want to keep blending, you want to look at the technique sheet and figure out which techniques you want to use. You don't have to use them all. And then you want to be neat and careful kind of in applying your colors. So I'm still working on this, like the tree area. So to do the scumbling, I just started, doing the controlled circles. And then I'm going to get a green colored pencil to go around edge here where the handle is, because it's going to be tricky to try to get really close to that. So I just use the colored pencils to kind of go around, and then I just keep filling in. Okay, so then I was layering brown and green and like a tannish color and like an olive green. So I had a few colors that I was using. I'm going to make it a little bit darker here on this one, so it's different from this section. Okay, so keep working. The other thing you want to do is make sure that you work on a piece of placemat paper so that you don't get pastels all over the table. If you do, just wash it off. And then your pastels should also be on placemat paper. You don't want them rolling all over your table. Okay, so keep them on a placemat paper. And then when you clean up at the end, make sure that you cover your project with a clean sheet of newsprint. Like cover it and then keep this inside your sketchbook so that it stays protected and it doesn't get wrinkled. Okay, I can't wait to see what you do.